Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland,
New York,
New Jersey,
Indianapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan.
Iowa,
Massachusetts,
Georgia,
Canada,
Our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesia,
Bay Lake Tower,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club.
and Wilderness Lodge.
And you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
to my
DVC Points.
Well, welcome home, everybody, to episode 110 of the My DVC Points Community Hall Live podcast. My name is Chad Pennycuff, and I am your host tonight. And before we get started in today's show, talking about content planning and a status of the podcast, like where are we going in 2023 is kind of the theme of the show. So I wanted to do a status of the podcast and then ask a couple of questions so that we can start to get some ideas for things that you want to talk about this year. So before we do that, let me do a quick shout out of thanks to our sponsors over at DVC Resale Market. So they are the #1 DVC reseller in the world. If you are looking to buy a contract, now is a great time. There is 800 plus listings there. They have more listings than anybody else that's out there. And the market is softening with that amount of listings out there. I'm pretty sure you could find a seller to negotiate probably $5 or $6 off of listing price if that's what you wanted to do. DVCResaleMarket.com. Let them know you heard about them here on the My DVC Points podcast. So let's come back into this. And before I bring in our co-host as well, I wanted to do a quick update as to like status of the podcast. What's going on in 2023? Where are we at? And we have some celebrations that are pretty awesome. And we've got some more coming up as well. So in today's show, three things we're going to talk about. Overview of My DVC Points. I want to do a vision casting. This is where we are. And then talk about what is it that you guys want to learn? What is it that you want to debate? And we'll really start to come back into it with Sandy, who's going to join me in just a second. And we'll go through some of the content that we're looking at. So let me see if I can. My slides got a little bit out of order here. Oh, that's not good. Let me just stop that and click it the old-fashioned way. Okay, there we go. So what is My DVC Points? We are an active community member we are members who create content. I do not do this full-time. This is a part-time deal for me. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. It's part-time that's pretty much broke because we spend a lot of money here on creating shows and content and cool software. But that is what we are. We are members who believe the best source of information about Disney Vacation Club comes from authentic but positive member reviews. And that's what the content that we try to create. And so what is our mission? That is really simple. I got to find a different button. That's going to the last slide. So sorry about that. And our goal is to come back in and help you create informed and educated decisions about what's best for your family. I sign off every show that I do with that, and that's something that we really, truly mean. So we try to balance a respectful discussion that's a debate and a review, but we want it to be authentic, meaning we're going to tell you what we really, truly think, but we want to do it in a positive place from a place of contribution. So that if we have something negative to say, it's so that you can understand the position and make a decision for yourself. We're not here to rip on Disney. We're here to help you get the most out of your points, your vacation dollars, and everything that comes with these really super expensive DVC vacations and contracts. So let's go through our 3 shows right now. We've got the My DVC Points podcast. This is an audio-only podcast. Generally, I am the host of that show. We have had over 300 members on that show sharing their opinion. We've got 230 episodes published. We are over 600,000 downloads on that one show. And what do we talk about there? DVC member stories. We talk about multiple member reviews. We talk about new member education series and then DVC market updates. So that show is doing exceptionally well in the podcast space, and we are going to keep on creating content there as well. Some traditional, some new that you'll hear about coming up. Our next show is led by Pete, Shannon, Vicky, Sue, and Jennifer, and they've had over 130,000 downloads of that show since June of 2020. So 2.5 years, 130,000 downloads. They're doing pretty well as well, considering they talk about the same thing that all the other Disney podcasters do. The difference is they do it from a DVC member perspective. And they will stop and go, this is a DVC story. We're going to dive into the details here. So that's why you should listen to that, because other podcasters may just cover it in passing. We'll dive in deep so that you can make informed decisions about what's best for your family. Next up is the show We're Doing This Now. It is the Community Hall podcast. We've had over 110,000 audio-only downloads on this show since July of 2020. We've had over 500,000 views on Facebook and YouTube, with the vast majority of those coming from Facebook. And I use the term views there pretty loosely because if you hang on to our video for, I think, 20 seconds, they'll count it as a view. It's not how I would count the statistic, but that's what Facebook does. But we've had over 100 different members sharing their opinions on this show, and you'll start to see we are a show and a platform that's based upon you, the members. We want your voice out there telling people what's going on, what's the best use of your points. The content that works best for this show is DVC member debates and discussions, and it's something that's highly focused and interactive, like engaging topics. Food shows do really well here, and when we start coming back in like Team Kidani versus Team Jumbo, those things work really well here. The content that works best on this show is things that members have actually tried, so that you guys can pipe in and say, hey, this is my opinion. You can agree, you can disagree. We take all comments in and let people sort it out for themselves. We also do quite a bit of game shows there as well, which are really kind of fun to do. We'll give you a forced choices game and, burn one, fix one, and then you get a fast pass forever for one in terms of attractions. Really great show. Sandy and Marianne have kind of taken over this show, and their producers are Gina and Rachel, and they do a great job on this show. And we're going to keep it going forward. Might be some slight changes to it in the future, but it's a great show, and they do a really good job. Next up, the mydvcpoints.com webpage. This page gets 30 to 33,000 hits a day, and it hosts all of our podcasts. It has our resort wiki on it, and it's got a new member events section that's coming here soon. This site is administered by myself and Sing, and a huge shout out to Sing for all of his updates. Every time the market resale price comes out, he'll update the resort wiki, showing you what the current price is. So you've got one place to go if you're looking for research on a particular resort. We'll give you a lot of background on it. And then at the bottom of the page, all of our shows on that particular resort show up. So can't say enough great things about our resort wiki. And we're really, really pleased at the amount of traffic that website is now generating. Coming up new for 2023 is a brand new project that we started to launch prior to Christmas and realized we needed a little bit more time to do this, but it's going to be our first edited for YouTube video series called DVC Answers by the MyDVC Points community. I was at an event and learned that the things that we think are just common knowledge, that's what everybody's asking. So I did some research and found, hey, what are the people really asking about DVC? And myself and the team were blown away at the simplicity of the questions. We would have never thought to answer or to create content on where are the DVC resorts. To us, we know you've got Vero, Hilton Head, Alani, Grand Cal, and like 12 in Walt Disney World. But other people don't know that, and they ask it. So we're going to take some time, step back away from the nerdy deep dives that we normally do, and just do some really great answers out there as an attempt to come back in and grow our community by welcoming in more people who are researching DVC. We're really excited about that show. Our sponsors are really excited about this series, and it's a great thing coming up. The last new thing we've got coming up this year, and I went ahead and I bought the software for it, which was not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but we're creating a mydvcpoints.com/events page. And I've got the software that'll help us come back in. You hear us talk about these events in the meetups. Now we're going to have one page. It's going to have signups and email reminders and all kinds of great things like that. So we're planning on doing a little bit more meetups this year. We're planning on doing things like VIP tours or some firework tours. Maybe, just maybe, we might be leasing out the Grand One at one of our events. We want to do really cool things that a lot of people have to chip in a little bit of money to come back in and do. And I think it would be really cool and unique to take a sail around the Seven Seas Lagoon and the Grand One. That's the yacht that's docked right outside the Grand Floridian. So stay on the lookout for that. And as well, we're looking for 2 people to help administer this program. That's kind of my big holdup right now on getting it launched, is I'm really looking for 2 people that say, you know what? I love organizing. I love helping people and getting events together. And I have a little bit of software skills. It's not a lot. Everything's GUI, point and click, but that's a great piece of software and a community service that we'll be doing here going forward in 2023. I hit the button again. Let's come backwards. We were always, I think that was it. Yep. So currently right now we're sitting at 63 Patreon supporters. For people who want to know, it's about $370 a month. And this amount barely keeps the lights on in terms of buying the software, the web hosting, all of the streaming bill that we do is now like $700 a year. It's just up there. Things are costing a lot of money to produce the shows that we do and use the tools that we do. So if you haven't yet, head on over to dvcplus.com. You can sign up and become a Patreon member, and we will be most appreciative of that as well. So because other people have asked as well, the sponsor money really goes into major equipment upgrades. Like right now, I'm on a borrowed computer because mine can't handle streaming anymore. It's about 5 years old and the camera was twitching out, and I'm looking at getting a new Mac, but it's thousands of dollars. So that's really where their big chunk of change is going to be going into this next year, is getting some technology and some things for us to start doing edited YouTube videos and some stronger things along those lines. That's kind of the financial update of the podcast. And as well, if you heard throughout this whole show, we are always recruiting. We are looking for special guests that can come back in and articulate their point of view. We're looking for people to help produce shows and like chase things down and go, this is a great idea, that's a bad idea. And we're looking for community builders, people that want to come back in and help serve other members and join our community. So if you're interested, reach out to myself, Gina. You can reach out to Mary Ann. You can reach out to pretty much anybody on the team. And we'll love to figure out what your skills are, what your passions are, and how we can help you start serving other DVC members. And that pretty much wraps up what I have for this as well. And I'm hoping that I had that right. So, because I stopped the screen share. It's what you get when you do this. So anyways, I'm going to welcome back into the show, Sandy. So that was a lot, Sandy.
That was a lot to digest right there, Chad. Like,
it really was.
Plans for this year. It's going to be so much fun.
It really was. And I really wanted to come back in and just kind of give people an update of the show. And I know some of the slides were a little off with that. And I realized what I did. I've got a button here to go next slide on a special streaming software. And I just realized it was taking me to the last slide. So forgive me on that.
It's done. It's done. What I find really interesting is that so many folks don't know all the stuff that we do, right? They might listen to the regular podcast. They might listen to the lives. They might be unaware of the fact that we have the news show. They might be unaware of the fact that we have this great website that gives you all this fantastic information all about DVC stuff. You know, like it's to get everybody more involved with all the different aspects of our community.
And the slides that I forgot to put up there was, we have 4,200 members in the My DVC Points community on Facebook.
It's just fantastic.
We have a Riviera group with about 3,500 members in it. And we started a new Disneyland Tower group
Mhm.
to help grow that community and people with interest there and answer their DVC questions. That's about 500 people strong.
Mhm.
And we didn't create one for the Grand Flow and the Poly for the simple fact that there's already great Facebook groups out there for those.
Exactly.
So I didn't really want to come back in and try to displace anybody from a really great group as well. And yeah, Catherine says, she had no idea of half the stuff that we
Hey,
mentioned.
Kathy.
It really is. It's an awful lot. And when I tell you it's darn near a part-time job or almost a full-time job, keeping all of this stuff in the air, it really, truly is. But we couldn't do it without your guys' great support, Sandy, Marianne, Gina, Singh, Caleb, the whole Facebook moderators group. It
Mhm.
really is a wonderful community of people that are just dedicated to this vision that I have of how do we create content to help other DVC members. So with that said, I want to know, what is it that you guys want to talk about in 2023?
Come on, folks, bring it
So-
on. Bring it on. Let us know what you want to do.
I've heard some really great ideas that were coming up. So like Disney Traditions would be a
that's
great show.
one. I love that.
And I think that'd be a great show for the live show coming back in, because it's every family has their own traditions. I know Dave, who mentioned this, has a tradition of when his family arrives, they check in, they drop their stuff off at their hotel room, and they make a beeline over to the boathouse.
Oh, that's great.
And that is their tradition. And
That's fantastic.
I've got to go there with them on a couple of trips, and that's a really fun thing to do as well. And then Kathy says, have we ever done a podcast series on the history of the resorts, like how they have changed for members over the years? We've
That's
done
a
a
great
history
idea.
episode of the resort, but it's more of
Mhm.
like a backstory behind it.
Mhm. How it came to
In
be.
terms of changes, that would be something we could look at doing. That'd be some work to try to come back in and find some photos. That's something that once we grow and we've got some income, that we could hire some producers to help us with that. I think I would be interested in doing it, because we'd have to organize a lot of pictures and do it on a resort. Like, wouldn't it be cool to like rewind the clock and see all of the different resort
Yeah,
themes
exactly.
or room layouts and theming that Old Key West had?
Well, that's what
'Cause
I'm
about
thinking.
every-
Old Key West is probably the one that we would do first, right? Because it's the OG. And we would be able
Yeah,
to
'cause-
probably find a lot of information about that one, in fact.
Yeah, because about every 7 years they do a soft refurb, and they're going to change out pillows and things along those lines. So,
Mhm.
and curtains and that kind of a deal, right? And Judy, we will take you up on that offer for sure and help put you to work on
Come
something.
on
So
and volunteer.
it is. And I forgot to mention as well, they're all volunteer. You mentioned it. They're all volunteers. The one thing that Laura and I do is, because she's still Michigan based, we tend to like to get our team members $500 gift cards for $450. Or what a lot of people do is they'll get two, so they'll get $900 they'll get $1,000 of gift cards for $900. And I know some of the people have taken me up on that 5 or 6 times. So it's a little bit of work for us to do on the back end, but we feel like it's a little bit of work that we want to do to thank all of our team members as well. And so Andy is saying DVC Through the Generations, a show where people discuss good memories, what they like and dislike about DVC, and what the future holds.
I'd love
So
to find
owners-
the original owners. That would be cool. And do like
Yeah,
a
we've
life,
done.
life
We did an
cycle.
interview with Sue, who's on the
Mhm.
newscast, and she's like member 114 or something,
Mhm.
insanely low. And I think we've had a member 13, something that low on there as well. And Andy, I've tried to do a couple of shows. There's a lady named Kristen, and she's a second generation DVC owner. And occasionally we get those people on the show, meaning they grew up a DVC child. They went off on their own. They started their own family, and now they're buying into DVC as well, so that they can have their own points as well. And then people always complain about the dues and what our money goes to. It'd be a nice way of showing the enhancements. And that would be a good piece of content to do. I'm thinking linking in a debate or something. I just think it would be boring to a lot of people. That's the only reason why I haven't done it. Is we're going to do all this work on a show, and a lot of people are going to go, what do your dues really go for? But I think if we were to keep it to like 5 minutes on YouTube, we might be able to hold some attention and really start to educate people on a high level, because there is a budget for every resort that comes out. And like when everybody was saying free parking this week, I was like, it's not all that great for DVC members, because we have a line item on our budget. So
That's
when
parking.
somebody stays in a DVC resort in a DVC room, they pay parking. That helps offset some of our dues. So free parking, not so great. And then when we rent our points out through like DVC resale market, they were able to advertise, well, you get free parking when you rent points, not when you pay cash. So from a DVC member's perspective, that's probably not all that great. But if you're staying in a Disney resort, that was phenomenal news. And then DVC member cruises, have we done a podcast on that?
No, actually, you went on one, but I don't think we did like a specific, like what they're like, all the different swag and all that fun stuff.
I've tried to go on one.
Oh, that's true. That's true. My apologies, it's true.
Yeah, I got COVID right beforehand and had to cancel it for the whole cruise. And so, yeah, I've tried to do some. I think Jonathan Heil we've done some shows with him, and he's talked about member cruises quite a bit as well. But a show dedicated to DVC member cruises would probably be worthwhile, especially when you unpack what they cost and the value thereon. And then how has DVC made connections and lifelong friendships with other families?
Well, I think we can speak to that, right, Kathy? We chat like every couple of like weeks or so, and it's nice to have those relationships.
That's kind of the whole point of this live show. When we looked at, like the 30 people who are tuning it in live, not counting the 1,000 people who will download it, but we have a lot of interaction between our regular viewers and the meetups and all of that really builds community. And I know Marianne and Sandy stepped up and said, dude, we ain't killing that show. I don't care what. We're going to make sure it happens because we love meeting the people.
That's our community.
Right. It's part of what happens when you create content that really serves people is it builds community. And while it's not our primary goal, it is our number 2 goal, is to build community and help people make connections here within. I haven't figured out how to do this yet as well as a DCL cruise can do, because man, that thing really sings with blending families together. But I think it's because their vacations start together, they end together, and they all go to the same things together. Okay. And it's like they're trapped on one little ship. Whereas here we have 47,000 acres of Walt Disney World with various start and end dates. And there's not as much like together time that's coordinated. So
that's it. But I'm envisioning, Kathy, someday that we will be going to like a meetup at a spin class that you'll be teaching, because I feel like that would be awesome. Anyways, comment below.
Yeah, I would definitely sign up for Kathy's spin class. I'm telling you right now, I got my butt back to one today, Kathy. So
she'll be very proud of you.
She would be. She would be. Yep. She definitely would be. And so let's talk about as well, like some of the member debates that we host. What seems like a great debate topic? We've done the Kidani versus Animal Kingdom. We typically redo that one about every 2 years because it's a new set of audience and a new set of opinions. So we're not opposed to running those back in a community hall live again as well. And then Joe asked the question, have you done a tips and tricks to Moonlight Magic? How to get the most of it, especially the DCA one coming up. And Joe, literally today, I was sitting back going, I need to create an edited YouTube video for how to maximize your chances of booking DVC. Because I think that's one video right there, is to come back in and walk through the multiple tab strategy. You've got to know all of the rules for it in and out. And like if you don't have every duck and thing aligned up in advance, you'll go to hit book and they'll kick you out. So I've seen members do that as well. And then what are the things to get the most out of it? That would be another like mini YouTube show as well. And I think that's a great one. And then more Disneyland content in general. With the new DVC Tower coming up, and we are going to be focused more on Disneyland coming up because that's where the members are going and the sales are going and all of that as well. And then Janice was saying, I agree, that's a good topic. And so we could, and you know, I think how to maximize the Moonlight Magic Day would be a great live event because people can give their own tips there. From what I can gather, you've got low attendance riders that are attracted to that. You've got a bunch of DVC members that like swarm the rare character meets. And that's where they like really hang out. And then who doesn't love free chow? Okay. Yeah, I see people doing that as well.
We love Moonlight Magic.
Yeah. And then somebody on Facebook says maybe you should do a short live broadcast from the DCA event coming up. If I can find a place that does not have music in the background, I will definitely do a live event from there. The issue that I've been having is every time I set foot in a park and I start to do a live event, Facebook shuts me down because of the music in the background. And so if you've ever watched on like DFB Guide and all of her videos, they're all voiceovers and there's never any audio track from what's going on inside the park. It's because of copyright strikes and things along those lines. We'll definitely try our best to do one. And I know we can do one from the mini meet in the Grand Cal lobby. And Joe is saying, I'm finally excited to get to go to Moonlight Magic. So we hope to run into you there. I know I will be there, and I got to get some shirts printed up for people as well. And Andy's saying debate ideas like how to use your points. So best use of points, worst use of points. Those are some great show topics. I see Gina writing in the background, and I'm like, yay. Short trips versus long trips. And then, Andy, we did a series way back when on Blue Sky shows.
Yeah.
It was when we first launched, and those are like the worst downloaded shows we've ever created. I kid you not, like people just did not tune into those. It's like a small percentage of the people did. We called it the Franken Resort series. And, you know, kind of create your own themed resort and what would you do and where would you put it? And I loved it. But I was in the small minority when I looked at the download count and then I got member feedback on it. So you can go back onto our website and type in Franken Resort and you'll find that whole series. You'll have to listen to them from the web now because they're so old, but they're up there. And then Tommy is saying, I've always enjoyed shows about the resort, not just Kidani versus Jambo, but redo the best monorail or Epcot resorts as debates. And that would be something that we could, you know, be fun to do as well. And I'm really wondering what's going to happen with the Poly Tower coming up because they are going to shoehorn that resort in there behind that monorail. Like, I don't know how long the monorail is going to be down for them to have crane action coming back in because they're going to have to crane things over the monorail to get it in there. It's going to be interesting, or put the crane out in the lake and ride everything in under the monorail, but we could have some downtime for the monorail is what I'm thinking when that starts to get built. But will be a great debate there as well, especially if you consider Riviera and Epcot Resort, which they're billing as one. I don't know, Sandy, what do you think there? Is it Epcot? Is it not?
Yeah, I think that a lot of folks now are like doing them almost like the Skyliner debate, you know, or like the Crescent Lake debate, like which one out of those resorts is the best to stay at between the Riviera, plus you got your boardwalk, and then you've also got your beach club, and like which you kind of got the favorites along all of those lines too. And Riviera has just recently been thrown kind of into that mix, right? So I think that's also like one that would be really interesting. And you're hearing more and more now about people doing kind of Skyliner pub crawls, you know, like that sort of thing. So it's the Skyliner crawl, and you'll stop off at all the different resorts that are on the Skyliner now. So that's kind of an interesting new thing for something that maybe some folks were a little apprehensive as to whether or not it would work out well, but now it's becoming like a thing. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could definitely do that one. That would,
Hmm.
we're seeing some traction in there. And Tommy gives a shout out of love to the Franken Resort series. So
Wonderful.
yeah, we never did finish that series just because the download count was so bad. And
Well, we'll have to
we
pick it
just
up.
kind of declared Jeremy the winner of that one. And but Dave says, I've always been interested in the percentage of time in terms of points people use at their home resort.
That's a great question, actually. Like, do we end up
That
booking at our home resorts or do we end up booking elsewhere?
And I guess we should probably do a poll on that, Dave,
Hmm.
because and that would be a great little YouTube short conversation to
Sure.
do a poll and create a video on that because I want to stay at them all. Like
Hmm.
there's something magical about every single resort that's out there. And finally, this last July, I checked off the last resort from the list at Vero Beach. But I can tell you, we would usually book when we had home resorts, at least like some of the stay on our home resorts, and then we
Hmm.
go try around with some others. But
That's cool.
yeah,
That's actually a nice take on it when you think about it, to do like home base and then after that go and explore something new for a little bit of your trip if you're willing to do a split stay.
yeah, it is. When I've asked people that work for DVC, I was shocked to find out that like 70% of people book their home resort and kind of stay
Hmm.
at the 11-month window. And unless they have to move their trip and then search for availability.
Mm.
But yeah, because you can look at it and go, when did they move from their home resort? If they're doing it right at 7 months, they're intentionally coming back in. But if they move the trip at 3 months, chances are they really wanted to stay at their home resort and had to move it
Yeah,
and find availability someplace.
exactly. And
And
then there's also like the whole
so
debate
Jimmy was
as
saying,
to go ahead.
yeah, more content around the parties. Mickey's Not So
Hmm.
Scary, Mickey's Very Merry would be great. Even an episode on the best resorts just for there to stay since APs are not on sale. And I would love to do more Mickey's Not So Scary. And I thought I would get a chance to do it, but I've always looked at that like I don't need to spend money. And so if I've got a couple of extra bucks in the business account for this, I can look at doing those parties. But otherwise, it's like $100 for something that I could go do tomorrow night. And
100 Pshaw, they're more expensive than that these days.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. But I mean, the parades, the shows, all of
Mhm.
that is kind of what I would focus on as
Yeah,
well.
we
And I
love the
did not
parties.
get it. Like my kids went nuts over trick or treating at Magic Kingdom. I'm
Mhm.
like, it is candy. We could go to CVS and buy by the barrel, right? But
It's
it's not
Disney
candy
candy,
from
it's
the Magic.
better.
Yeah, yeah, it must be. It must be as well. And then we will be having more information there. We'll get an exact time for you, but I can tell you it's going to be probably 2 or 3 hours before the opening of the event. And I get in at 1 that day, and I'm going to go check into my hotel room and then probably head over there. And I think I'm staying at Paradise Pier for this trip.
Hmm.
So it should be a short walk over there, and I'll be hanging out there, just meeting people and setting up and things along those lines.
I'm excited to hear how you enjoy it.
Yeah. And then Eric wants to know, the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Adventure still a thing, that he hasn't heard much from it in a while. Actually, we've had 2 really good dedicated members of our community. I know within the last few months, Melissa B has went, and I
Mhm.
actually tagged her in a post because somebody was asking for something from Shop Disney you could only buy if you went there. And then Grant from Canada was there with
Mhm.
his family as well, not long
Yep.
ago. So we could definitely pull off a show on the Star
The Star
Cruiser and
Cruiser.
a review from, a little bit of a DVC member perspective as well.
Mhm.
So that's probably not a bad idea, Eric. It's probably overdue because I've just been holding out for a Florida resident rate. Like sooner or later, they're going to drop a Florida resident rate on that cruise starship, and I'm going to be ready to come back in and do it. And somebody on Facebook says they've been members for 12 years and have yet to stay at their home resorts.
Oh, wow.
That happens a lot to Saratoga owners as well, because that's hardly the reason why you buy Saratoga was to get the cheap points and the cheaper dues and then go stay elsewhere.
See, our family is looking into where we want to stay this summer, and the kids are like, let's stay at Saratoga. It's right on the golf course. So it does have its pros.
It does. And then traditions of collecting merchandise, pins, popcorn
Mhm.
buckets, etc. And yeah, if you can't tell, I've kind of gotten into it a little bit, mainly to have YouTube props. And now it just has to be super killer or super cute for me to end up buying it, or super rare and hard to get that it's like a bragging right.
Mhm.
And then Frederica says she stayed at both of my home resorts, pretty much use Grand Cal for Grand Cal. Yeah, if you buy Grand Cal, there ain't no staying any place other than Grand Cal. Same thing for Beach Club. Like, it's just a sin against humanity to use those points someplace else. And somebody's saying different shows on tours and experiences that people can book now, whether paid or free, in the park, in the resorts, Keys to the Kingdom, Living with the Land, Wilderness Lodge, and then non-park experiences, Tri-Circle D, which, my wife and girls just did this, I think New Year's Eve. They
Oh,
ended
cool.
up going on that as well. And they gave it a very favorable review. The big takeaway from Laura on Tri-Circle D was, do not do this in the middle of summer.
Oh, I can see how that would be stinky.
Yeah, it would. Well, it's stinky, but you also need to wear like long shorts to keep
Mhm.
kind of the horsehair and things off
Yep,
of you, and
pants.
like long pants. And she's just like, it was perfect in December. I don't know
Mhm.
that I'd want to do it when it's hot, sweaty, and muggy as well.
Yeah.
And so, and then Linda saying, hoping to get tickets for February 15th. Family of 7 at Moonlight, they raved about it, and still to this day. We should definitely be doing some more Moonlight content and showing our appreciation of that to DVC as well.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, it's been gone for so long that it's so nice to have them back again, right?
yeah, and then this is a great comment as well from somebody on Facebook. The best way to enjoy the park if you don't want to rope drop or close the park. So what would be your touring plan for a non-rope dropper? And
Gotcha.
which, if you ask, that's the way we did DVC back before all of this craziness with Genie Plus and everything else.
Mhm.
We'd book our fast passes for midday, come in, hit them, leave, and now it's kind of like wah, wah, wah. That's out the window. So that would be a good show to come back in and refresh. And so Nick is saying Disney food at home, your favorite recipes that keep your taste buds magical when away from the parks.
That's a great
Believe
one.
it or not, we have a show in works there with Sue from DVC Resale Market and Jody from DVC Resale Market. I have agreed to let them cook up some Disney dishes here in my house in the new kitchen. So you guys will get a chance to see my Copper Creek inspired kitchen when we film that show. And that will be an edited for YouTube show as well. I don't think we're going to try to do it live, but that is a great deal. And I think that would be a phenomenal show to come back in and try and do, and things along those lines. So Sandy, do you remember any of the other contents from the previous posts that we had that were coming up, or what's some of the things on the backlog?
I think we've discussed like a lot of them here, honestly. Like we had a couple of things that we wanted to discuss more about the resorts and talking about getting back into like the histories of them. So that was a good one to bring up. And then there was like a couple of other things that we had kind of brought up for the live shows as well. Again, more game shows and that sort of thing that the community really enjoys whenever we do those. We get really good hits for those. And just like doing general more what keeps us going as DVC members, as far as what we bring with us on our trips, like those sorts of things that are really
the swag
useful.
shows were really good, right?
Yeah.
What Amazon swag do you want?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And they don't necessarily always have to be like for around Christmas time. We can maybe do it biannually so that if there's new things that come out on the market, then we can look at those too.
as well, and come back in. I think we used Amazon affiliate links, and I got a $10
Mhm.
check.
Oh, that's
Like
awesome.
$10.34. I was like, woohoo, go Amazon affiliate links.
For sure. And we had really good
Right.
stuff on those lists too.
We did. We certainly did. And I've now got to refresh it because I need a different backpack. I've seen some that have like their crossbody slings that have a phone holder in them.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and things that'll be guaranteed to fit in a universal locker now that I'm going over there quite regularly as well. And yeah. And then so best dining options and strategies for people with allergies. We can definitely do a show on that one. We talked about a gluten-free show with Christy from, and then Shannon is also, and I'm sure we've got some more people that could join in on a gluten-free dining show at Disney as well. So that would be another great fun member content show as well. Don't know if we could pull that one off live, because I don't know that we've got that many gluten-free people that would have offerings there, but we could definitely do an edited show on that one as well. And then Steve, your top secret tips and hidden gems. I think we could do a show on that because I asked that question in the member interviews, like, what are your hidden gems of Disney? And believe it or not, I really like that question because I hear people's unique things and I come back out and do it. I know I just this last week recorded a show with Dave Hart, and he was telling me how the Gaston cinnamon roll and LeFou's brew is his jam.
Have you never had that before, Chad?
Like, it's a thing, but I'm like, they're huge.
Those cinnamon rolls are like, I have a picture of Evie with it beside her head, and I swear it was as big as her head. Like, they're giant.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to like recruit some people to go tear down one of those things.
For sure.
I just don't want to.
There's a meetup.
Waste it.
There's a meetup.
Right?
It's right there.
Right there's a LeFou brew and Gaston cinnamon roll meetup.
There you go.
We could definitely pull that one off as well.
Yep.
And then Sean's got some great ideas here. He's saying, how about DVC for kids? We've done a show with Jacob and Evie, and that was, my wife led that show, and it was incredibly popular and a lot of fun. And which resorts they enjoy and why, and what kid related things are there at the resorts for 2 to 17 kids. Kids love when they can do new things. So maybe even talk about walking paths and such for them. The walk from, Grand Flow to Magic Kingdom, Saratoga to Disney Springs. We definitely need to do more audio only podcast with that, because I think it's the safer way to engage kids in an audience. And
for sure.
Yeah, we're pretty sensitive about putting kids on camera. And
unless they're my children, in which case, we've done that.
Yeah,
so
but
we're good.
You're like a core member of our team. And
I know.
You sign off on it. Like yeah. Like,
and they love being on the show too. Like they love doing that interview with Laura. Like
they are little media stars in the makings is all I'm saying. So
yeah. And there's like a lot of other families within our group, like the Austins, who have very personable children. So I think that would be a great
we did do a show with
Noah.
Yeah, with the Austins as well. And yeah, so they're core members of our community as well. And that's who I have to know the parents really well before I'll air something with their kids. So it is what that is there, right? I'm just being extra cautious because I don't want to, put anybody's family in jeopardy. And so Bonnie says, coffee chat. I love a latte in the morning. I'm happy when I arrive at Riviera and can take a short stroll to the coffee shop. And where else can I find specialty coffee drinks at the DVC resort?
I feel like we could have the Joffrey folks on to talk about like all the different things that they put into their coffees for the resorts and stuff. Maybe that would be an interesting show to do, and where you can find those specialty things amongst the resorts themselves. Because we all know that we're always searching for the best coffee in the morning.
Yeah, we'll have to put a producer on that one and see if we can get a representative from Joffrey's to come back in and do that. I know they do sponsor numerous podcasts. And I know like Resort Loop, it seems like they've had representatives on there as well. And then Expedition Roasters has also sponsored a few podcasts as well. And I know they would come back in and they have some Disney theming behind their
Mm.
coffees. They're not associated with Disney, but it's something that they did as well. So I'm pretty sure we can find some of that as well. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind finding one of these holiday mornings and taking a camera and going over there and, filming a little something for an edited YouTube video. That's
About the
where I'm
coffee and
trying
how
to
make that,
go
yeah.
with this, but I've just got to free up more time to get that done. And as well, things you use now as DVC members that you didn't before. Example, Owner's Locker, which you got because of our Facebook review. SunPass.
Yeah.
Yep. And as well, I've reached out a few times to the owner of Owner's Locker as well. I've had a few conversations with him, and he almost did a show with us, but then decided he didn't really want to put his relationship with Disney in jeopardy because it's a lot of income for him. So I'm like, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. Yeah. Let's not do anything to tick off the mouse for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Holly Aston, we've got a young YouTuber who would love to join.
Yay!
So, yep. And then I was waiting for this one. More member stories and interview. Love hearing people's stories about why they joined and how they get the most out of DVC. And we are starting to record video with those. And I just haven't got everything together yet. I think the amount of editing that we do on those shows is enormous to take out the ums, the ahs, the this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how we would do it with video yet, because I can hack up the audio and make them sound great and communicate what they're saying. With video, not so much, but it's like I got to get the B-roll over the real choppy parts.
You do make us sound
that's on our
fabulous.
agenda to get those on YouTube. It'll probably be one of the last shows we do, but we will keep doing the audio interviews on the My DVC Points podcast because they're easy to record and they're fairly easy to edit and easy content for us to put on a rinse and repeat basis. If you haven't figured out yet, a lot of these shows that in the ideas take our producing team an enormous amount of time to go source and resource, because you've got to come back in and find people to come back in and talk and make sure that they've got a good story. And so, yeah, those member interviews are kind of awesome as well. And then Nick saying Orlando, Anaheim restaurants off property that are worth leaving the bubble for.
That's a good topic. You would know more about that than I would.
Yeah. You know what? I started to do a little bit of that research in September, Nick, with some of my local community neighbors, people that are physically my neighbors. We started to talk about doing some dining clubs and things along those lines, because there's something that goes on in September called Magical Dining, and they have a fixed pre-menu for about $45 a person. Mm-hmm. And it's really high-end restaurants here in Orlando. So it's a great time to come back in and check all that out.
That sounds fun.
It comes back into, okay, somebody's got to pay for all that as well. Because one thing that I've realized is I'm a foodie, okay, but I don't have Disney vacation budget every week of the year. And that's one of the downsides about living here, is you don't have the money to go do everything that you want to go do. So Publix grocery store and Walmart grocery stores, it is. So, a vast majority of the meals. So that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Amy was, we just used Chad's backpack recommendation on our December trip from the previous Amazon link. That is a really solid backpack. It crunches up nice. It's light. It's relatively waterproof. And another one for free DVC swag, example, free swag for just stopping by the front desk, free swag on cruises.
Yeah, the cruises are the best.
Pass.
The best for
DVC maybe
swag.
That's something I can find somebody at DVC that will help us put together that as here's the latest swag, and do a quick YouTube video on that as well. I feel like we should be able to come in and post in the My DVC Points community and ask people to use their phone to shoot us some clips of the swag and things like that and build a show around it as well. when we start to get more into the YouTube deal, we will be leaning more onto the community to come back in and help us with B-roll and things along those lines as well. And then Holly says, I love trip reports, not all the time, but those are some of my favorite podcasts to listen to when you get the unique ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll have to look at doing, because the member interviews are my vision of a trip report over a lifetime, because the vacations you'll never outgrow year after year after year. So that was kind of my vision on the member interviews there. And then John saying, rate/rank the DVC main restaurants at each resorts and favorite menu items at each. I think that would be a great.
That's a real dining show.
That's a community hall live show as well. That screams community hall live, because you can argue back with this real time and and defend the honor of your Ohana noodles, right? When somebody throws them under the bus.
Exactly.
Tommy says, is it worth it show? An example of now that photo class isn't included with the AP, is it worth it as DVC? And if and when the dining plan comes back, is it worth it? Yeah, that'd be a great little mini show as well to come back in and go, is PhotoPass worth it today? And that falls into a great debate category as well. And Dave was saying that they reached out to Owner's Locker and it was a no also. And I didn't get a no. I got a, well, we'll see, because I give everybody else no's, but you're unique in the fact that your people really do come multiple times a year. They have a contract to come multiple times a year. It really is. But I think he thought Tim Kay also did a safer way of reaching that audience through DVC News and his ads there. And, he didn't run the risk of saying anything there because he just had ads up. And so I think that's John's story there as well. But I've definitely reached out to him. And then Frederica saying in Anaheim, Roscoe's Waffles and Chicken. It's about a mile or a bit less from Disneyland.
I'm sure Gina has a very long list for around Disneyland.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so another one from Piano Man. Oh yeah, I mentioned this on Facebook, but would love an interview of you and your DVC story and move to Orlando. I almost recorded that one this week, and I might just take a moment and do that as well. And so that one will come, because I've seen enough of those comments, and enough of the team members have said, yeah, you need to talk about this. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And so Gillian saying, show idea, would you buy Disneyland direct or Grand Cal resale? I was waiting for the Disneyland hotel, but now want Grand Cal. That would be a show that we should be filming here pretty soon. And I can tell you as well, I had Grand Cal resale. I sold it to buy the house, knowing that I would come back in and buy Disneyland Tower later. And that's the only reason why I sold it. And it was grandfathered Grand Cal as well. It could go anywhere, but why would you? So somebody on Facebook saying, traveling tips for out-of-staters, how to get good car rentals, getting TSA pre-check, buying toll pass instead of paying the rental companies and the rental cars, grocery convenience stores on the way to and from the airport or near the parks as well. I could definitely do a show on that as well. And we just aired a show 2 weeks ago with Lynn from Families Fly Free about how working the Southwest Companion Pass and getting a deal on airfare coming to Walt Disney World as well. So yeah, we could definitely do something on those type of deals. And Lynn has kind of introduced me to this travel credit card level of deal that I probably will do a show or two on as well coming up as well. Because I feel like I've learned enough valuable information there, especially with some of the flight meltdowns and the trips and the insurance and the baggage and the delays and all of that comes with some of the premium travel cards that are available for people to use as well. So I think we are well past our hour here, and this is a pretty long show. Yeah, it is. And So I do want to appreciate and give a huge shout out of thanks to the entire team for this. We'll keep posting on the show. We will keep coming back in and looking at this as well, especially on YouTube. We'd love to have your comments there so that we can come back in and help the algorithm on things there.
Mhm.
But huge shout out of thanks to all of the team, Marianne, Gina. I'd miss somebody, so I'm just gonna say the entire team and Rachel, Singh, Caleb. Yeah, I'm digging myself a hole here, but anyways, a huge shout out to them. A huge shout out to all the Patreons who do help us support these great ideas. I'd love to do more of the food shows, but I got to pay for it somehow. So if you're here and you want to sponsor a food show or we create a food show together, hey, talk to me.
There you go.
We'll definitely make something happen on that as well.
And then just we wanted to reiterate, if you're interested in joining our team and volunteering and helping out with either the regular podcast or with the lives as, part of the production team, then we are more than happy to have you as part of our team. This is a fantastic group of people to work with. And we really have become like a little family, haven't we, Chad?
We do. Like half of the people at our meetups are our team because we love hanging out at each other, and there's all kinds of communication back and forth. And yeah, it really is a great community that we've built in a very successful program platform, everything that we've accomplished together, all because I had this vision and dream of DVC members creating content about DVC to help other DVC members. And that part has really taken off, and we've really been successful in hitting some of those goals. I didn't mention this earlier, but I would say stay tuned, guys. This year, we will probably be doing some kind of really cool giveaway at our 1,000,000th podcast download, because we will be hitting it within the next few months. I can pretty well assure you of that.
Incredible. How exciting.
Sometime in 2023, we will be hitting the 1,000,000 download mark.
Incredible.
And like I would have never, ever thought that was humanly possible, but it really is. And I think Janice kind of nails it here as well. Thank you for all the good topics. Thank you for everybody. Huge shout out of thanks as well to our sponsors, DVC Resale Market, Monera Financial, and DVC Rental Store. All of the World of Disney team that's over there for their continued support and joining our shows and leaning their expertise into this as well. We try to bring them in when they have something unique that they can share from their perspective. And they really add a lot to our shows and our community, and they do a great job serving everybody as well. So hopefully you've given us something in this show that'll help us create content so that you can go out and plan something magical for your family. That's it. And we will see you guys next week. Do you know what the topic is, Sandy?
I have no clue.
I think it's a game show. I think
it is too. I think Marianne has a game show planned. Gina, can you confirm that for us? Oh, she'll let us know. But whatever it is, it'll be awesome and fun, as it always is.
Yep, she's muted. So
it's the Must Do's show. Disney Must Do's.
Oh, Must Do Disney's. Okay.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of fun. So anyways, thank you guys for all of your tuning in and everything. We will see you real soon.
Bye.
So, good night, everybody.
Bye.